Hi, I'm Dani Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I am joined today by Mitch Postel. He is the president of the San Mateo County Historical Association. Mitch, welcome back.
Thank you, Dani.
I love having you on the show because every time I'm here, I learn about a new little hidden treasure that we have in San Mateo County.
There's lots.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about Sanchez Adobe up in the North Peninsula, but I first want you to give our viewers a little bit of background on the Historical Association.
Sure. We're principally known for operating the San Mateo County History Museum in the old courthouse building in downtown Redwood City. Mm-hmm. And also we operate the Woodside Store, which is on Tripp Road and Kings Mountain Road in Woodside. We do the education programs at Wonderlick Park at the Folger Stable as well.
Right. And just to give people an idea, the number of children that come through the museum, because you do a real schools program, an official school tour program, and then the number of adults you sort of get throughout the year through the museum.
The total attendance for the three sites is 60,000. And of those, about 20,000 are school kids and their chaperones on docent-led tours.
Right. And if I could encourage the viewers or anybody watching this online to get down and see the exhibits, because they do change. Mm-hmm. And every time I go down there, I'm just surprised that we had here in San Mateo County such an impact on some pretty substantial historical events, not only through the state but locally. So it's kind of neat to see. I hope we'll encourage everyone to do that.
Well, on December 7th, we're going to open up an exhibit at the Redwood City Museum about San Mateo County during World War II. Wow. And all the things that happened here to help the war effort.
And I think we're going to talk about that a little bit more, because I think when people think World War II, they don't think San Mateo County.
Right.
But yet there's apparently some really neat historical...
Lots of stories.
Yeah, stories, artifacts, things like that people have brought back. But let's take it back to Sanchez Adobe House,
sure,
which is in Pacifica. Some really neat things are happening there. So tell us about that.
Well, for many years, the county parks, the Historical Association, all our volunteers have agreed on a basic master plan for the site. Right. For a lot of years, we were kind of held back by not having all the archaeology done. And so that was accomplished right before the Great Recession, and then it became a little bit hard to be able to muster the money to begin the project. But we're on the road. The county has authorized a total of $1.3 million to begin the work, and on September 17th we're going to actually have a shovel and do a groundbreaking. And our responsibility in this is to raise an additional $200,000, and I think that the county Parks Foundation is going to come up with about $70,000 that they're trying to raise.
Well, after seeing this program, I am sure that our viewers will run to their laptops and computers and to their phones and make donations immediately. So expect your phone to start ringing.
Okay.
But tell us a little bit more about what you're actually going to do. You were talking about breaking ground. Is this a renovation where the structure is going to be reinforced and improved, or is this something that you're doing from a landscape and, like you said, an archaeological?
Well, there will be some conservation work that'll be significant for the Adobe, but the exciting part is we're going to add a visitor center, so that when people come in, they're going to know much more about the site.
Right.
This will allow us to move the exhibits out of the house itself and return to the house to the way that it appeared in the 1840s.
Wonderful.
Its most historic period. And it's going to allow us a different trail system within the little park there. Okay. So people are going to get a much better view of the house when they first walk into the park. And little things like new restrooms and upgrades in electricity, a bigger sewage line. I mean, on and on. It's just a laundry list of really great things.
Can you repeat again for me the age of the home? Who are the inhabitants of the...
So Francisco Sanchez built the house back between 1844, 1846, something like that. And but before that, it was the site of a mission outpost that provided food for the Padres up at the mission at San Francisco.
So it's kind of a resting stop?
No, it was an important agricultural center.
Okay.
Yeah, there was as many people living and working at that site at one point as there were living at the mission up in San Francisco because of the strong activity that was going on there. The mission couldn't have survived without the food that was grown there.
Right there.
But before that even, the site was the village of Puristack. That was the Aromay people lived there. You know, kind of the part of the Ohlone people.
Right.
So there was a native presence there for at least 500 years. So the first 3 eras of California history are represented right there. So we're lucky enough to be able to have all those right at our fingertips and to be able to interpret their history in total.
And have you been able to find artifacts from the site to right? So that's
sure.
now all going to be represented in what you said, those out buildings to show people the story, tell the story. Yeah.
Yes.
So now beyond the Sanchez Adobe project, you've got another project coming up.
Are you talking about the World War II exhibit?
Well, we'll jump right into the World War II exhibit.
Okay, all right. So I think I alluded a little bit to, things that happened here were very significant. For example, the industries that helped the war effort. IMAC during World War II made more tubes for radios and radars than anyone else in the world. And that was in San Bruno, where that factory was. And they experimented with all kinds of important kinds of employee kind of relationships with the company itself, especially regarding women, and daycare centers for the first time anywhere, and I mean just firsts all over the place with that business and with others. Also, we had important training stations that were here. At Coyote Point, every cadet in the Merchant Marine during World War II took their first training at Coyote Point. The airport, was the closest link. Our San Francisco airport was the closest link to the Pacific theater of the war than anywhere else, and so planes were constantly taking off from here to go to Hawaii, to Australia, to Alaska. So much was happening here. So
that will appear early December. And then will that exhibit stay for any length of time, or will it be one of your permanent exhibits?
No, 2 years.
2 years, okay. And then just a quick question. How do you typically determine what you might rotate in or bring in as a new exhibit?
We look at anniversaries.
Okay.
For example, the 75th anniversary of America's entry into World War II is coming up. That will be December 7th.
So those are significant points when there's anniversaries of some milestone in this country's history. And speaking of milestones in our local history, is your History Makers Dinner. That is always a championed event. The community comes out to celebrate a person, a family, someone that's made a significant difference in who we are today in San Mateo County. And can you tell us a little bit about the coming up History Maker Dinner?
So on September 21st, we will be honoring the Wisdom family, who had much to do with the development of the middle part of our county.
Correct.
They were founders of San Mateo. They were important residents of Hillsborough. They had lots of businesses within Burlingame, and that will be our focus for the September 21st event.
I think there's probably not a single person in San Mateo County that doesn't know the Wisdom name and or doesn't have their knobs or kitchen products or something in their home from their long-standing hardware store that stood prominently in San Mateo. So we just have about a minute left, and I want to make sure that you're given the last word. Is what are people going to experience when they visit the museum?
Our museum in Redwood City. Well, we try to put our San Mateo County history in context. That is not just what happened, but why it was important. And if we look at the early period, we look at the natural resources, how they helped the earliest people, and then how do those resources help build San Francisco? And then with all our galleries, we try to connect Western and California history to what,
well, I'd
what our
love to
story
encourage
is.
everyone to get down there, and even if they haven't been there in a year or so or 6 months, get down there, because it is ever changing, and it's really a neat thing to share with your kids and your family. So thanks, Mitch, for telling us all about what's happening at the San Mateo County Historical Association, and we'll see all of you next time on Penn Voice.